Hello again, and welcome back to another day in and out with me on this rainy day. What has been flooding my mind recently, and therefore I'm going to put it out there again, as that's what the series is called. Let the day in and give it out. So, yeah. What has been in my mind is like the thing of oneself's positioning in whatever your pursuit or intention is. Because what I got to feel over the course of the last few months was like a big need for a change in how I'm presenting myself. And that led to me being uncomfortable with how I'm carrying my past within this look of my seemingly present self on social media. And that was another big thing for me, a big and a crucial step towards a change when I got to see that I have to like erase some parts of mine only in the look. I haven't been erasing my past because that's what we all carry within us. But I got to understand that when I want to develop into a certain field, and that field is involving me being a version of myself which I am actually are today, then I have to like cut off some things that made me look like I'm someone completely else. And that was like the moment I realized that I'm only able to start doing content, start giving my word out when I am cutting this look of mine in a social medium completely. And after daring that step with like my first Instagram reel, things started to move around quite quickly. Because then I got to see how all these people who have been following me, which were not many, were basically here because they got to see me from a lens years back then. Because I got years in between, I haven't been posting anything because I didn't feel like it. I was the person always around people who was like, such hard on them when they opened Instagram or did anything on it, because I got to see how dangerous it can be when you're not actually taking advantage of it. But I didn't even think of the advantage. I just skipped that part and said myself, this is like holding you up from your actual pursuit. I wasn't that clear about my thought back then, but I knew that it is dangerous and I gotta stay away from it, because I had some time for sure as well where I misused the platform. And seeing others doing it, when you're like always in the state of when you're opening it, you instantly get a feeling of, okay, you know that you are going to do something wrong when you stay on it and keep the scroll longer than your the actual reason why you came here. And quickly a feeling developed itself where, as I just said, I got to see that this is not right, that I'm staying here for something completely different, and that it almost completely diminishes the actual reason, so that I'm not even like able to grasp why I came here no more in that moment. after I started to scroll or go through some stories. That is like the moment when I'm grabbing myself and thinking about the reason once again why I came here in the first place. And I had multiple times where I could not even say it no more, even though there was a reason, because it like took over me so fast that I haven't got any room in myself to understand why I got here in the first place no more. And for sure, there are other times where there hadn't been any reason at all in the first place, as you're just like clicking on it to get this instant gratification of some dopamine you can release within that course of time you're on it. But yeah, as I said, there quickly I developed like that a possible way how I can keep myself within this awareness circle, I would call it, where I am safe from these external like powers taking over me. But yeah, this led me towards being really unclear about how I would actually keep on using it. I even deleted it and didn't think about it a long time. And when I installed it back then again, I turned off the notifications because I felt like this was another way I could prevent myself from going in there, because only someone is like doing certain stuff or is liking what I've maybe done years back then. So there wasn't any big reason at all to have like notifications or even the app on there, on my phone. But still, I had it, I used it, I clicked on it, I got some screen time every day in it, maybe only for 5 minutes, until I took myself out of it again because I noticed this feeling. But yeah, as I said, I wasn't clear about the reason, the actual reason why I'm on it. And that changed within that last few weeks, where I've been noticing that I really have to take over that anxiety of mine, or better said, like that feeling of previous times, and really take advantage of that kind of platform. Because this is like the thing that I haven't been able to fulfill within myself, because I hadn't got the solution for it. I did not know that I want to open myself on so many kind of topics until I realized that this is a way we can express our feelings, and we can help each other by opening ourselves up. And earlier this year, I had my first like peeks into how people out there are developing personal brands. I haven't heard about this thing before, because I've only had seen people in some niches, but I wasn't introduced to much productivity content back then. I've always been into like scientific content, or some, when you would like see it in a bigger frame, TED Talks, where people like which are already in a certain field, they're masters. I was interested in stuff like that, and I've been watching this over the course of like half of the last decade, because I as I mentioned, I got to see what's good and what's bad, but I did not take advantage of the things I really got to think about in the best way, as it was only as it was still like only information fueling me, which I wasn't able to like get on moving and do something myself out of it. It was only for the sake of, okay, now I want to look at something, but I won't look at anything that's not productive in some way. Not like where I feel, okay, I gotta stay focused, I gotta think about it because it's a complex topic. It was only for this sake that I can give myself reasonings for looking at something which didn't change much to how other people may consume content, other than I got to see things that I'm interested in. And these are more like the serious scientific psychological topics. I got to take some things out of it for sure, and it built me up, but I did not take the advantage there yet. Because as I said, I did not summarize this and build on it. And that was like, as I mentioned before, the first moment I encountered like the understanding of how you could actually display yourself in this realm was through Dan Coe. And he was like introducing this personal brand stuff, this one person business, you are the niche kind of thing. To me, I haven't been seeing anywhere before. It was like a completely new era of something I've never got to feel in such a way, because someone actually took over the camera and he's talking in such a way that I was like completely impressed how someone is articulating in such a clear manner, and he like unfolding topics in such an extent that he can even make like a clear video half an hour long. And yeah, I got to learn so much how I would like to move along the way by laying things out and looking at importances for myself in this whole process, that it made me think in a whole different kind of way. But it took months to understand it. I wasn't there yet. I got to see the content, I think like the end of last year and end of 2022. Yeah. And I've been looking every video of him back then, and I was impressed all the time, but I couldn't grasp it there yet. It took so long, and I think there are many out there who know this kind of amazing guy but cannot take advantage of it too much, because it's kind of harsh sometimes how he's like acting on one. But I don't want to step too much in it, because I think it's there can be quite good things about being like straightforward with what you're trying to say in terms of the listener experience. But yeah, this is a topic for a whole kind of new video. But yeah, it was too hard. It was too hard for me to grasp, because I had to make things turn around in such a great extent that it felt unreal to do it. And that's where it all ended, like a few months back when I had the injury, which I was talking about in my first video. I uploaded here on YouTube because I got to rethink what I'm doing and where I want to proceed, because I had it in my mind all the time that I gotta step into like this personal brand stuff, but it was so harsh. It was so difficult to like free myself from these limiting beliefs of my existence and what I want to talk about. And that's where I stumbled upon the thing Dan has been mentioning all over the years he's doing his content, and that's like the writing part. And I don't want to dedicate this whole video to Dan, but I just want to tell you how things got to move within myself, because someone told the viewer that the main part of getting this all started was like the writing. And writing can be looked at quite in a broad manner for sure, but when I started to really think about what I could write about and how it might get perceived by an actual viewer, I got to learn from day to day. And when the accident back then in summer did happen, I was in the hospital, I started to write and I started to tweet things out and made this like the first step into like daring to do it, to like talk about what you feel, what you want to share with others, what you got to see. It's like, it felt good. It is generally a good feeling to write things out for sure, but to express them in a way others are able to look at it, even though nobody's looking at it, is a whole different kind of feeling. And this is for sure is coming along with another feeling of the need to let somebody look at it. And that is like the main reason why people stop when they started doing something, because it doesn't resonate too much with others. They got over that feeling of, okay, it is great for myself to write things out. Now I got like a small system for how I want to write things out for others. And they start to write things out for others, but enter like writing out to the void, because that's basically what it is in the beginning. You are writing into the nothingness of nobody, and there are like 100 steps you gotta take in between, or 10 different kind of approaches you have to like take to make it work, to like connect with each other, or to build people around you up. And when it's not happening too fast, many just like jump off. They don't see any reason. And that is for sure something humans have deeply rooted within themselves, because we are always on the search for like this confirmation, for like clarity within something we do, especially when we do it for others. When I'm standing myself on the streets and I want to do something for others, and all others do is like walking by and don't even try to look at it, it's up to oneself if you are the person who is trying on and on and on and is looking at all the things you are doing yourself to maybe find this sudden small flaw in the thing and how you are acting upon it to make it work out eventually, or to just like stop whenever you got to see there isn't any big kind of solution for it at the moment. And most people are, and it's hard to say, they get weakened by themselves so bad that they are, they cannot go through this. They cannot move through this kind of pain of knowing that there's nobody around you supporting it, or nobody looking at it, or that there isn't a big advantage for you there yet, because they, in the end, they basically cannot get into tune with how hard it can be and how hard it actually is to make it happen, because it needs so much discipline, it needs so much clarity. So yeah, I broadened it once again. I broadened this because suddenly things are adding up in oneself when you start to put it out. And this can even like be something for you to look ahead and maybe learn from it, as I'm learning in this exact moment about it as well, that when you start, you have so much within you. When you start thinking about one topic and you start talking about it, things start to add up so easily that it's even like with me here, I've been passing over like 3 or 4 different kind of topics only because I've set myself down, told myself that I'm going to record all the way through this, and then I'm going to share it because I want to share that progress. I want to clarify how it feels in the beginning, because I am at the beginning as well, but I took over that step of doing it. And yeah, it's so interesting for me. And it can be for you as well. I only want to like inspire you to make it yourself. It's for sure not only not the only thing I want to do with it, but it's a big part of it. And yeah, but for sure at some point you gotta like come back to your roots. And that's why I'm coming back now, as well as I am very aware of the fact, and I really appreciate your time. And therefore I want to like end this circle with the thing I started. And that was like the whole shift you are taking when you start to make things for yourself, or when you start to change your presence within that online medium. And yeah, what I quickly noticed after I did this major change, first and foremost on Instagram for sure, because that was like the only platform I was actively on and had some people following me and had many pictures on it from years back then. When I started to make the content I am doing now, like it's crystallizing out with every video more and more where I want to head. But when I started with that kind of stuff, and even posted some of my tweets as I'm doing it now, still people, for sure, and that is a great thing about it, because people then actually see who you are, and they are standing in front of a decision where they can actually like say, okay, this is not the guy I've been following him for because I followed him for his artsy content back in 2018 and maybe his looks on his pictures, but not for that kind of self-development, growth kind of stuff. I just gotta unfollow this guy because this is not at all what I want to see. And yeah, that's what people then do. They just like unfollow you, and that is a great thing, because only because you're starting on an old profile with followers from back then doesn't mean that everybody of those is like following you then still, because you moved into a different kind of direction. And when they're not resonating with that, they just leave, and that is good. But it can be hard as well. It did not feel too good for me, for sure, as well, to some extent, because I got to see people basically leave, and you're getting hit every day, not only by this, but by this need for like engagement, for confirmation in some extent. And I'm generally not that guy at all. I'm so clear about that. I gotta stay patient and stay grounded and just do my stuff and develop in it. But it takes over one so easily, and the coping mechanism within oneself to like arrange how you do this is hard to learn, but it's coming with time. You will understand and see how it resonates, and there will be people who are understanding what you want to say, and there will be people who are going to support you. And even if it's only one person, it doesn't matter. You just gotta move on, because it's what makes you feel good, isn't it? When you're doing something that makes you feel good, you don't do it for anyone else, you do it for yourself, and that's why you move on. And that's why you don't care about how much engagement you're getting, how much confirmation you are getting from out there, because you are doing it for yourself, don't you? So yeah, keep that in mind. Keep clear about that thing, because otherwise you will just like I mentioned previously, you just like stop along the way where you haven't even started yet. And yeah, that was like basically the journey until now. And I'm still struggling through some of these things I just told you, because it's absolutely normal, and it's humane to be in that position of someone who has to come who has to arrive within this. You gotta feel your way through it, and that can only be done by feeling the harshness of this kind of thing, because you're throwing yourself into a sea which is completely full of others, and some like these waters more than others. And to make yourself, to build up your like this grounded small island with like good and nutritious food on it is is hard, because there's so many others already. But it's possible, as there are people out there who are willing to move into new directions, who are willing to give you room, to give you like this, who like want to follow along with you because they think you're generally good at what you do. And with time, these people are going to get more when you stay on it. So whatever you're doing, keep in mind, and we all know that, but we underestimate the power of it by like telling ourselves that we can be more than we were yesterday by internalizing that we stay on it, and we will draw this whole thing out eventually. But we gotta stay on it. Even though it's hard, even though you don't feel as good every day, even though you're on the ground some days and it's hard for you to talk. It's even harder for me to talk right now than it was like the previous times. And there's so many different kind of complex, completely human things happening in our brains, around us, in our bodies. We cannot control every day, but we can grow by understanding what we do and who we are, by reflecting on what we do, by seeing what we might do better, by asking others what we might do better. So yeah, take the path of growth and stop caring about what others may think when you enter a certain position. I got to enter as well when I said to myself, I'm going to use this old profile to make this, to shift into this new direction. Even though I might take the hits, I gotta take the hits of people unfollowing me, because it's good. This filtering process is good, even with people you really know, because most of these people you got on these platforms are not even people you know. Sometimes you know most of them. Yeah, okay, it's differing with all of us. But even with people you know in real life, you could adapt this kind of thing. Because when you are moving into new directions, when you are taking a new path, which is actually fulfilling for you, you will make a shift. And when you truly stay true to yourself, you will make this shift noticeable for others around you. And you will eventually only attract those which are really in tune with who you really are. Because that is what made you move towards it in the first place. You felt like this sudden need for a personal change because you got to understand some things about yourself which made you move, which made you grow. And through this growth, you can take people with you who are actually appreciating that growth, who are actually noticing this growth. But others who are not, you can leave them behind. Because when they are not understanding it in the first place and are not open enough to make this thing understandable, to make your change important enough that they stay with you on this journey because they generally like you, then there's no more reason to to keep them with you. So yeah, as before, this can be the moment where they are initializing that unfollow or you are. And most of the times in real life, you gotta do it. Because others do not see it as easy as on social media. Because when I'm posting that kind of picture where I'm like this artsy guy, and then I'm eventually start making this self-development content, people are going to see a big difference, which in real life might not be noticeable to that extent. So you gotta make sure they actually know how you moved on, how you developed yourself. Because otherwise, how could they know? So you gotta tell. You gotta say how things are for you now, after you understood who you are, what you want to do, and how you want to move on. And when these people are not in tune with that, leave them behind. Okay? So it can be easy, even though it seems really hard. And I'll be diving deeper into this kind of stuff in many more videos, but just like to get a small glimpse of what I was trying to say. So yeah, hope this was fun to watch or enjoyable. I wish you a pleasant day, night, or whatever. And we see each other very soon, hopefully. Bye bye.